So let's start over again. Now, okay. So start. Okay. Good evening, all. Today's talk will be on Faraday symbols and hello, finite index subgroups of the modular group. This talk is based on Professor Kulkarni's This talk is based on the article by Kulkarni, an arithmetic geometric method in the study of subgroups of the modular group. The problem at hand was the following. Since the modular group is the free product of Z mod 2 and Z mod 3, every finite index subgroup of the modular group would be the free product of a certain number of copies of Z, the certain number of copies of Z mod 2, as well as the remaining factors will be a certain number of copies of Z mod 3. However, all the methods known till then did not produce an independent system of generators of the group. So in order to produce an independent system, this paper was written and it has given rise to many interesting arithmetic as well as geometric methods, and it has been a matter of intense investigation as well. So before we proceed, let us start the discussion over again. the upper half plane will be denoted by H. Gamma will denote the modular group PSL2Z, and phi will be any subgroup of gamma having finite index in gamma. It is for certain reasons, it is for this problem, it is good to think of the upper half plane as the symmetric space SL2R mod SO2, so that the action of the isometric group of the Poincare upper half plane is just gamma PSL2Z. However, each isometry will extend to its ideal boundary, which is the projectivized real line del H R union infinity, and the action can be compactified. The quotient of the upper half plane by gamma can be compactified by adding finitely many cusps. To understand the respective compactification, it is important to understand the notion of a cusp, that is a fundamental domain for the action of gamma or action of any phi, any finite index subgroup of gamma for that matter. It will have points where open neighborhoods around that point are in the shape of a sector of a circle rather than a disk. And in order to solve this problem, I have to make a manifold out of at least a topological manifold out of this quotient of the upper half plane by gamma. We need to add finitely many cusps. Cusps are also actually the points that it is mentioned in the previous remark that gamma extends to the action of gamma extends to R union infinity. So cusps are precisely R union infinity can be seen as the completion of the projectivized rational line, and the orbits of each orbit of gamma on the projectivized rational line corresponds to one cusps. That's the whole and soul of having cusps. And the reason why we need them is to compactify a possibly non-compact manifold, so that compact Riemann surfaces are much better to work with. Next, in this talk, we shall only be considering fundamental domains which are convex hyperbolic polygons. Here, convex means geodesically convex, which means that given 2 points within the polygon, the shortest geodesic arc joining them will lie entirely within that polygon. And furthermore, we also assume that the hyperbolic polygons are finite in area. That is, the phi is co-compact, in other words. For such fundamental domains, the side pairing transformations are well known to generate the fundamental phi, that is the finite index subgroup of PSL2Z under consideration. However, these may not form an independent set of generators. That is, a set of generators of a group is called independent if it is, suppose x1, x2, xn, xk are the generators. So if the group itself is the free product of the cyclic groups generated by each xi, then it is called an independent set of generators. And the fundamental domain corresponding to an independent set of generators was termed as being admissible. So not every domain, at least before Kulkarni's work, none of the domains which were computed in terms of were admissible. That is, the side pairing transformations did not form an independent set of generators. To address this issue, one needs to introduce an arithmetic device called a generalized Faraday symbols. Actually, Faraday symbols are much more than that. That is, they have very interesting arithmetic as well as number theoretic properties. The term Faraday symbol comes from, that is a Faraday sequences, and a Faraday sequence of order n consists of all rational numbers between 0 to 1. It goes without saying that each rational number is expressed in its lowest terms, that is the numerator and the denominator did not have any common factor, and the denominators in their the fractions in their lowest forms must have denominators less than or equal to n, and of course are arranged in increasing order. How could such a apparently number theoretic construction, that is that of a Faraday sequence of order n, be relevant here? The relevance is that phi acts on a pairs of integer, that is phi is a subgroup of PSL2Z, and the action originally comes from SL2Z, which acts on Z cross Z, that is a pair of integers, 2x1 matrices with integer entries, as one can rephrase the same thing. And this pair of integers can be seen to constitute, or rather these ratios between the ratios determined by pairs of integer can be seen to constitute projectivized rational line. And the ideal boundary of the Poincare upper half plane, that is R union infinity, is precisely the completion of this. So apparently unrelated Faraday sequences came into play, and several interesting properties will be revealed in the subsequent talk. Faraday symbols need to be twisted a little. That is, one introduces 1 by 0 and infinity. Sorry, the first entry this one has to be infinity, 0 by 1, a1 by b1, an by bn, and 1 by 0. And such that the ai bi plus 1 minus ai plus 1 bi, this equals in its absolute value to 1 for each of the successive terms. This has to be equipped with an additional structure, that is encoding the side pairing information, and a special polygon is precisely a fundamental domain for the action of phi. Additional structure, fundamental domains. See, the issue at hand is not just finding a fundamental domain, but because Dirichlet fundamental domain, etc., they are always available. However, their side pairing transformations, they may not form an independent set of generator, and so the side pairing information needs to be encoded within the Faraday sequence itself. That is the within the Faraday symbols, and with this additional structure, with extended 0 by 1 and 1 by 0 at the ends, it is called a generalized Faraday symbol. In more detail, a special polygon is a polygon, hyperbolic polygon, in the completion of the Poincare upper half plane, that is the upper half plane union its ideal boundary. We can always, since it's a homogeneous space, we can always set one vertex at infinity, and other vertices we can bring them to R union infinity. So special polygon has all its vertices in R union infinity, and these vertices are rational numbers in the generalized Faraday sequence. The special polygons, now these polygons under consideration are in natural correspondence. Natural means here compatible with the group of isometries of the Poincare upper half plane. That is one-to-one correspondence with Faraday symbols. So each Faraday symbol determines a special polygon and vice versa. The map going to Faraday symbol to a subgroup of finite index in gamma that is finite to 1. That is, given a Faraday generalized Faraday symbol, there exists a subgroup of finite index in gamma, but due to the various choices involved in this sequel, not every subgroup of finite index in gamma corresponds to a unique Faraday symbol. There can be more than one Faraday symbols can determine to the same subgroup of finite index of the modular group. Now, to depict what is happening more effectively, bipartite cuboid graphs were introduced, and a bipartite cuboid graph is a finite graph with vertex. Bipartite suggests that it has its vertex set is divided into two disjoint subsets V0 and V1, such that every vertex in V0 has valence 1 or 2, every vertex in V1 has valence 1 or 3, and there is an additional prescribed cyclic order on the edges which meet at each vertex of valence 3, and every edge joins a vertex in V0 with a vertex in V1. So given this bipartite, these conditions precisely make it into a bipartite cuboid graph. What is the relevance? Why are these bipartite cuboid graphs important? Because valence 1 or 2, this fundamental domain for the action of phi, it will involve Z mod 2. The phi is of course a number of copies of that is a free product of certain copies of integers, certain copies of Z mod 2s, whence this number 2 appears, and a certain copies of the Z mod 3. And for Z mod 3, the valence is 1 or 3. And the prescribed cyclic order exactly corresponds to the generators, or rather the orders in which the generators are specified. And every edge joins a vertex in V0 with a vertex in V1. That is precisely the definition of being a graph being bipartite. So these graphs help us depict what is happening, and as we shall see, they will form one-to-one correspondence. Of course, a graph, bipartite cuboid graph, is determined up to isomorphism, but isomorphism classes of bipartite cuboid graphs are in one-to-one correspondence with conjugacy classes of subgroups of finite index of the modular group. That is, a bipartite cuboid graph may not determine a unique subgroup of finite index, but however, up to conjugation, the subgroup determined is unique. So this was the central theorem of the paper, and so the conjugacy classes of subgroups of finite index are in one-to-one correspondence. I will mention another result here. Every special polygon, that is a special polygon to recall, is a polygon which determines a fundamental domain for the subgroup generated by side pairing transformations, and these transformations form an independent set of generators of the subgroup. That's why special polygon means the set of side pairing transformations are exactly what we wanted. That is an independent set of generators. And conversely, given a subgroup of finite index of the modular group, it admits a special polygon as its fundamental domain. It is well known that the fundamental domain for the action of any discrete subgroup is, it need not be unique at all. You can there is a choice involved. So this in other words, special polygons occur as fundamental domains of side pairing transformations which form an independent set of generators. Now there are some observations due here the Hecker triangle group delta star 2n infinity. What is PSL2Z? It is the Hecker triangle group delta star 2n infinity for n equal to 3. The reason why we only had to work with rational numbers is that for n equal to 3, this cos pi by 3 is a rational number. So we just end up with the rational field Q, right? So, but let us consider it for a general n. The ring of integers in the extension of rational numbers by cos pi by n is z cos pi by n. So for n equal to 3, we were just working with PSL2Z. However, it will be replaced by some an appropriate group of isometries whose ring of integers is z cos pi by n. And lastly, a geometric observation or rather an observation of the geometric flavor. The cusps are which correspond are in one-to-one corresponding with orbits of the PSL2Z. For that, it's on action on P1Q. This cusp P1Q is a Grassmannian. Grassmannian is the set of all k-dimensional subspaces, for instance, in Rn. They form a Grassmannian, they form a smooth manifold, and projective line over rational is a simplest example. Projective spaces are the simplest examples of Grassmannians. So it is natural to ask whether the setting framework which I talked about can be generalized to this.
Chaitanya, can you hear me?
That is,
can you hear me?
All this, whatever was worked out for the rational group, that is the modular group, can be worked framed in a very general manner as follows. Supplant this SL2 over Q. See, originally this SL2R by SO2, the symmetric space under consideration was SL2 is nothing but the group of real points of SL2 over the algebraic group SL2, which happens to be semi-simple also. And the field under consideration, we are by no means obliged to work with rationals themselves. We can work with SL2 over F, and we can consider a finite Galois extension of F over Q. Galois extensions are being considered here in order to just to simplify the calculations. And the ring of integers will be replaced by the one in the finite Galois extension F. The upper half plane will be replaced by the set manifold determined by the real points of this group G. Here G stands for SL2 or G has SL2 has been supplanted by G, and K is its maximal compact subgroup of the group of its real points. So in this framework, you can side pairing transformations will be generated by reflections. Side pairing, it is well known that in the hyperbolic plane, every isometry can be written as a composition of 3 or fewer reflections. So side pairing transformation will be generated by reflections in the symmetric space. The boundary at infinity, so as to speak, will be an appropriate Grassmannian. This GR over K is a symmetric space. So the set of its hyperplanes within this, or rather GR mod K, because G is semi-simple, this is GR mod K is nothing but it's simply diffeomorphic to the Rn for an appropriate n, the Euclidean space.
Can you hear me?
So its hyperplanes within this
Hi,
will determine an appropriate Grassmannian, which will replace this projectivized rational line, or rather the projectivized real line, the ideal boundary at infinity. And Faraday symbols will be matrices which correspond to the polyhedra. Some remarks are in order here. Faraday symbols will be matrices. The reason is that not just 2 points are being considered, unlike in the case of the modular group, but the polyhedrals are higher dimensional. So side pairing transformations will be corresponding to Faraday symbols, and also these Faraday symbols will have some cases of the in this regard have already been worked out. There is a there is some progress in this direction, but the idea was to propose a framework in which everything can be encompassed. So these Faraday symbols turn out to be have some, for example, Faraday symbols for Zi, that is, one could consider SL3 over Q root minus 1, and it will then we will have to work with the upper half space instead of upper half plane. Certain cases, for example, the certain Hecke groups have been worked out. However, it would be interesting to investigate the rest of the thing. So I shall conclude the talk here. Thank you very much.
Chaitanya, can you hear me? Chaitanya.
Finished. Stop recording.